At the same time, we're getting some more official details that are supposedly accurate about what happened with the Uvalde massacre. In particular, a Texas police commander says that after analyzing the response, analyzing body camera footage, which, by the way, they are blocking the public from getting access to any of these details. So we're just having to take these people's word for it. So grains of salt on all of this. But according to their timeline, they are saying that these officers could have neutralized and taken out this mass murderer in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Let's take a listen to a little bit of that.
3 minutes after the subject entered the West Building, there was a sufficient number of armed officers wearing body armor to isolate, distract, and neutralize the subject. The only thing stopping a hallway of dedicated officers from entering room 111 and 112 was the on-scene commander, who decided to place the lives of officers before the lives of children.
That's what it comes down to. That is what it comes down to.
You see those photos, Krystal? Those guys, they had semi-automatic rifles, they had body armor, they had ballistic shields. They had, they had
the thing to pop open the door. And it also, by the way, it turns out the door was unlocked, so they didn't even need that. But if they did, they had it.
Right. All of that. And just to give you guys an idea of how insane things were, let's throw this on the screen. Eva Mireles called her husband. She was one of the teachers who was killed. Her husband was a police officer, said she was shot and she was dying. And when he tried to save her, he was detained, had his gun taken away, and he was escorted from the school. Now, at the very least, we have some good news right now, which is that Pete Arredondo, the guy who was the head of the police department of Uvalde CISD and made the call to not go in and to take down the shooter, has been relieved, placed on a leave of absence as of yesterday. However, he remains, Krystal, on the city council. And listen, I don't really know how the law works. I think it's a good reminder right now, by the way, that the Supreme Court says a cop has no obligation to protect you. So you should actually keep that in mind. Given everything, I do not see how, at least in moral justice, that the man who made that call, Pete Arredondo, should not be prosecuted in some form. And if that is not allowable under law, somehow needs to be civilly held accountable for what has happened here. Because you could see those officers outside. You could also see the Border Patrol guys. By the way, everybody's lined up. They're all G.I. Joe'd out. No disrespect since those guys are actually the ones who went in and killed the gunman. But I'm saying the guys who were there on the scene, you could see the picture. You could see the timestamp up in the corner, had everything they need. I've had a lot of cops message me saying, I would have gone in with my service revolver, or my service pistol. Yeah. No body armor, nothing. I would have gone in. That's my job. That's what I signed up for. And I don't know. You see the photo and you see these stories about Eva Mireles, his husband.
I can't imagine.
Imagine him. What is that guy going through?
And he was not just a police officer. He was a police officer for that school district.
Yeah, right.
And they stopped him and took his weapon and forced him out of the school. He was the one good guy with the gun that wanted to do something.
Poor guy.
And they did. I can't imagine how he goes forward. It's just so horrifying to imagine. And some of the details, they released an official timeline that had some of the dialogue between these officers. And it is as bad as you imagine with regards to Pete Arredondo. He really was, at least according to what they're telling us, and there is a massive statewide cover-up trying to block journalists and the public from having access to these records on their own. Mm-hmm. But according to what they're telling us here, you've got, first of all, the 3 minutes, within 3 minutes, they could have taken this guy out. That's number one. Number two, they have at 11:56, an officer asks, he says, y'all don't know if there's kids in there? If there's kids in there, we need to go in there, this DPS agent says. The officer replies, whoever's in charge will determine that. So it's this bureaucratic blame shift. It's not my responsibility. It's not my call. I'm just going to defer to, ultimately, I guess, Pete Arredondo. Then at 12:23, Arredondo says, we've lost 2 kids, the walls are thin. If he starts shooting, we're gonna lose more kids. I hate to say we have to put those to the side right now. Basically saying we have to sacrifice all of the children that are in those 2 classrooms. That's our only option here. That's all we can do. At 12:27, he actually says, people are going to ask why we're taking so long. We're trying to preserve the rest of the life. There were kids, and this teacher too, by the way, who were bleeding out on the floor. There were other kids who had not yet been shot. We know this at this point. There was one of the teachers died on the way to the hospital. A few minutes could have saved that life.
Been crippled for life.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Nothing. 12:28, he said, we have master keys and they're not working. The door was unlocked and they had the crowbar thing to pop it open even if it wasn't. And then finally, at 12:30, he said, okay, we've cleared out everything except for that room. We're ready to breach, but that door is locked. And when he finally allows the Border Patrol agents to go in, he's like, you all can do it if you want to. I mean, it wasn't like, get in, we gotta go, I guess if you guys want to, you can go in. It is just so astonishing. And then the fact that, there's this cover up, not allowing the public to see for themselves after all of the lies and the manipulations that they've been caught in, one after another. There was another piece of this saga, which is Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who at this point is also implicated in those decisions to keep records from the public. But, he was very angry publicly about the lies that he had been told initially. And they released his handwritten notes saying, what they told him specifically had happened, including some of the things that we know now are blatant lies. Arredondo was in that room. And when Abbott was being given this list of lies, could have spoken up at any time to clear up the record. No, none of that ever happened. So it is unconscionable. The other piece of this is they are planning on now demolishing this elementary school, Robb Elementary School. Go ahead and put this last piece up on the screen there, guys. Which, I understand. I certainly wouldn't want to send my kid there again, but you damn well better get all the evidence out of that
I was going to say,
before you demolish it, especially when you've got like a pretty clear reluctance to show the public anything. And then the news we get is, we're just going to demolish the school right away. Okay.
There's some cover-up vibes, basically here. Listen, it's difficult to find and summon the words. Like,
yes, it is.
These guys need to be held account in the strongest possible way. I was actually thinking about it. 150 years ago in the frontier days of the Old West, Arredondo and the guys who held this up would have got what's coming to them. And, that's the region. And these kids are dead, and the elementary school is now going to get demolished. The city itself is going through this horrific trauma. The attorney general seems to be nowhere, not doing anything. I don't know why somebody can't just stand up.
It's God's plan.
I don't know why somebody can't stand up for Texas. I don't know why, somebody needs to pay is really the only answer that comes out of here.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.